expert in the field, but I believe it's because there are parallel things that they find to reinforce the idea that carbon-14 dating is accurate back 500 years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, tree rings and whatever, things that the dating coincides, and that the dating by carbon-14 has proved consistent. Can at any one moment in time they prove exactly what the carbon-14 level was? Maybe not. But there being a complete absence of something disproving a consistent level, and all of the evidence going back, showing a consistent level, or relatively consistent level, it is a reasonable assumption. You treat assumptions, the word assumptions, with equal worthlessness. Well, there are some assumptions that are worthwhile and some that are worthless. And most of the assumptions that you seem to dismiss in the world of science aren't just picked out of the air, or because they want to show there's no God. They're assumptions based upon a lot of evidence.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Bill. You said 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 years ago. What you're trying to say is there are markers, that they've set up markers, meaning that they know that a particular organic material that they...
No, I won't use the word no. I will use the phrase that they're consistent and they reinforce each other.
Well, wait a minute, you're still not answering my question, because what I'm saying is, to reinforce something, if you got a piece of organic material you're going to carbon-14 date, and you're going to have that as a marker saying it's consistent, you got to know how old it is by other means.
Yes, such as tree rings or sedimentation or whatever.
Well,
yes.
so, then you get in a whole other set of assumptions. But my point is that you can go back a certain amount of time and you will find that carbon-14 dating is accurate. Agreed. But you can't go back 50,000 years. There are no markers there.
No, but I'm just explaining why,
I'm explaining to you why that's not necessarily true, Bill. I'm not arguing that between, say, 10,000 years ago and today, the carbon-14 dating would not be accurate. I'm saying yes, it is, because you can make assumptions that make sense. But you can't make assumptions of 40 or 50,000 years ago.
Well, I can't prove that apes breastfed their babies 50,000 years ago either, but I think there's pretty good evidence that they breastfed their babies.
That's not a good analogy. Yes?
You know, it blows my mind that people like me, a human at this age, in my little puny brain, of course, you know, we know God is all-knowing, He knows way more than I do. Why we have to reduce everything and all logic and all this to what we, with our little puny brains, can understand. Well, it doesn't make sense to me. You know, it's not logical to me. Well, who gives a crap? It doesn't matter with how I think. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. What I was going to say to Harriet, he was talking about how that he thinks this, he thinks that. And I almost made a mistake. I almost said, Harry, God doesn't care what you think. I think He does care what you think. But I'm saying, what your reasoning is not of interest to Him. Because you're making your own little world that you make things perfect in and say, why aren't they perfect if there's a loving God? That's what I heard. I mean, you're not saying anything like that?
Talking to me?
Yeah, sure.
In order for me to believe something, it's got to be logical. That's how I'm built. And if it's not logical, you're going to have to prove it to me in a logical way. I can't accept things just because my heart says it's true. It's got to be, I'm telling you, it's got to be accepted by my brain as well as my heart.
Okay. Jay?
And the same
Well,
with
the reason,
back here.
real reason you want to know which side is right is because of things such as wars and shootings in a nightclub based upon an ideology with their list of what's good and their list of what's bad. I believe it's bad because you have wars, because of religion. I'm not saying you wouldn't have any wars. You'd still have some wars. You wouldn't have as many. You wouldn't have Shiites killing Sunnis. You wouldn't have 10% of the Muslim population wanting to kill everyone who doesn't believe in what they believe. And that is their belief. In this country, you have a lot of Muslims who are probably good people, but they don't come out and condemn the beheadings or everything that's going on. Is it good or bad? A lot of it has to do with critical thinking, and that's what, and that you can have a whole debate about critical thinking. But things like tax exemptions in this country for churches, is that good for everybody? I don't think so, but the Catholic Church does.
Yeah. Let me just, you brought some interesting observations about religion, and you take the term religion and you throw everybody in a pot, say this is religion. Okay. That's a fallacy, number one. Number two, and I remember George Erickson, when he presented to the group, he said, he quoted the scripture, said, by their fruits you will know them. In other words, if you go back and talk about religion being the author of the Crusades and the Inquisition, and religion is the author of what happened at nightclub Sunday morning, you're making a fallacy mistake, and the mistake is this: by the fruits they will know them means that if these people do what I have said in the scripture, the teachings that I have given them, and that the teachings that God has given them, they are Christians. And those who do not are probably not Christians. You can't judge Christianity by Christians that you think are Christians. You can't judge the Islam faith by what you think is a Muslim. Religion itself is not the culprit. It's human beings that have, the human beings that have prostituted, or whatever you want to call it, their religion. Human beings are evil. They do things that are evil, and they may do it in the name of Jesus Christ, and they're not doing it in Jesus' name, because they're not following Jesus' teachings. If you want to judge religion, judge what it says to do. That's where you judge religion.
When you bring Jesus into this room and quote him, you have to show that there was someone by the name of Jesus. And I don't.
You've got very few people.
Actually do that.
You've got very few people that agree with you in theology, Jay, that would take the position there was no Jesus. You are in such a minority, you can't believe it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's changing.
If you're gonna do it by archaeology and all that stuff, you're gonna find out he was real. If you think this Jesus wasn't real, what year are we living in? You can tell me they started time by some person that never existed?
Yeah, because they're not sure if he would live 4 years before the
Yeah, but the point is, you said he didn't exist.
What difference does that make?
You said he didn't exist.
What difference does that make?
How can people start measuring time from a fictitious person? It's like, we could start when Mickey Mouse first had his first
2007, 16 years ago, someone could have said, I'm the ruler, and I'm going to start, this is going to be year one.
I understand that could
That could
happen.
happen.
You're right. But you are a minority, and you say it's changing, and we'll see.
And I think the internet is going to change the whole concept, in my opinion.
Okay, good. That's a prediction on your part, right?
The predictions, just like biblical predictions.
Yeah, that's Bill, go ahead.
Back to evolution and science, okay?
All right. Do we have to go there, Bill?
Well, that's why I'm here.
I don't, go ahead.
You said you were unsure about the age of the Earth, whether it's 6,000 or 3 or 4.